am so grateful. I'm so grateful to be here with you. I see Nadia, you send me this beautiful photo of the rainbow portal. That's exactly what's happening. And so today, even though this is not our like open Green Tower Zoom call, I want to share quite a bit about what just happened within us, around us, within this cosmos. And I'm going to start by saying this is so far the biggest transformation of life, humanity, cosmic life, universal life that we have ever experienced in this cosmic cycle. And I mean cosmic cycle, I just don't mean a planetary cycle. This, what just happened in July here a few days ago, actually, 2 days ago, 1 day ago, is the biggest positive transformation within cosmos itself, within humanity, within this universe, within this galaxy. I've never seen anything like it, and so I'm going to speak about this. What just happened, I want to make it so big that everybody knows this is bigger than big. This is truly what will now change everything moving forward. And I think of it in terms of cosmos. Everything now will have to change as a result of it. I always look at the big picture because, of course, cosmic consciousness is a big picture. And so I'm going to take you on a journey, and hopefully it will be communicated in a way that it seems like nothing bigger could possibly even happen anymore, because now the switch has been flipped. And the switch that has been flipped is of such magnitude that you could say almost going back to the origin of this cosmic cycle. Gurge, please, my love. How long is one cosmic cycle? Meaning, truly, creation comes into being from one primordial source, and then it expands, expands, expands. I cannot imagine it's even just billions of years. I would think it's infinity, immeasurable, but of course there is such thing as inhaling creation, exhaling creation. And so imagine how could this even be measured? How could this even be measured? And this is the magnitude of what just happened. It changed that creation cycle that cannot even be measured in billions, trillions, zillions of years. So, and we are here witnessing it, experiencing it, and now we will be the ones projecting it onto the creation in a whole new way. It's so big and it's incomprehensible. So I'm going to start with how do I know these things, and how does it keep coming? So, of course, as you know, we are here on a mission. And I don't say it like a fairy tale. People like to sometimes say things like, just to kind of feel empowered, which is wonderful too. But if you have these memories, then you know exactly how specific this mission is. This mission, Patricia calls it really salvation of the earth. You could call it planetary rescue. And you would think, if a planet falls into unconsciousness, and if a planet, and not just one planet, but if a world, a system of worlds falls into unconsciousness, if beings are really trapped in the illusion, if they completely lose consciousness and they start believing something completely nonsensical, but they all believe it, and so it becomes the norm. And if everyone in the world believes, it's like the story of the emperor with no clothes, but everybody had to pretend like he had clothes on. And so they talk about it, they admire it, but the truth is the emperor is naked. And so that's the kind of story about this world. In a way, you can compare it to, this is the way that I think about it. This world fell into such illusion that was then perpetuated through the DNA the DNA became so, in a way, contaminated. It lost its original divine intent. It lost its potency. And so it became contaminated through just ancestors repeating the same nonsense. The emperor has beautiful clothes on, and yet the emperor is naked. And so, thank you, Gurgit. So look at the number of what Gurgit just posted in the chat. That's just, pretty incredible. So this is the magnitude that spans across that time, what just changed. So I want to say, because this world became so like normalized and yet completely dysfunctional, you would think that just because someone was functional and well behaved and they were intelligent, that they were not part of the illusion, but everyone was part of the illusion, as long as they believe that they are this human being and nothing else. And so it was almost like the king, the Lord of this universe, had children, the children of God. And these children, of course, had incredible skills, abilities, potency in their divine DNA. Of course, divine DNA. And then these children of this magnificent divine being got trapped in the illusion where they forgot who they are. And so their DNA stopped functioning at the level of divinity and started to just function at the debasement level of stupidity that became normalized as the status quo, complete illusion. And it kept repeating, you are a person who was born, this is your birthday, you are a man, you're a woman, you are a child, you will go to school, then you will get married, you will have a job, you will earn money, you have to eat and have money, and you need to build this house, and then you will retire. It's going to be nice, but probably you will get a little bit sick because you'll be old, and then you will die. We will get really sad about it. So this was what became normalized. So the children of God, who used to be divine, unlimited, eternal, immortal beings with unbelievable potency within their DNA, cosmic DNA, they started to believe that there are these mortal beings who have to have so much fear, so much worry, so many things to think about all the time, so much to do just to survive or just to try to get to a level of thriving. But the thriving would also be, material thriving. There would be no consciousness. Consciousness would be just something, we say, oh, you have a soul. Oh, how nice. Nothing to really know about the soul anyway. You are a spirit, wonderful, but still living like a human with the illusion inside. So then our Divine Father and Divine Mother would look at us and say, wake up, it's a nightmare you're living. You are playing a game and you forgot that you're playing a game. You need to wake up, you are a divine child, remember, remember. But we would respond to them and we say, no, I'm this human mortal being, I have fears, I want my retirement to be big so that, I don't want to get sick and so on and so on. And I don't want to die. Surely that's going to be very painful. That is all the nightmare. That's the nightmare that became normalized and became the status quo. But it was repeated, and we would see all the evidence around us, and we could say, how could I be a divine child unless I'm just thinking it, but then I'm not really living it? Because if I was living it, I would be a creator being of unlimited potency, of creative capabilities. I would be the master of every reality I enter. And that means I would be a master creator, which means I have consciousness, which is based, centered in who I am originally. No matter how big the illusion around me is, I will not be part of the illusion. I am a divine child. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of light. And as such, I can create anything I truly, deeply desire without desire. Because since it's unlimited, why would I even desire anything? Why would I even desire anything as like, ooh, I need to have this. I really want this. Without this, I'm not complete, because we already are complete as those divine children. So then Divine Mother, Divine Father would be, wake up, you are dreaming, You are in a nightmare. You have a little bit of pleasure, you have a little bit of pain. That's a nightmare. It was never meant to be this way. There is no pain in divine reality. You just forgot. And then the DNA forgot. It's almost like we all ended up with genetic disease without looking, like we have genetic disease, but it became a genetic disease. We only then had our ancestral DNA without the divine DNA working through us. And so we just forgot. And then our parents forgot, our grandparents forgot, our great grandparents forgot, everybody forgot. And everyone is just like in the story of the Sleeping Beauty, asleep in a beautiful, beautiful queendom, but asleep and dreaming, and maybe dreaming a lot of nightmares, maybe sometimes even nice dreams, of course. And then some nightmare, and then some nice dream, but still asleep. And so what just changed is huge. What just changed the night of July 11 into July 12 is that the Elohim reactivated the divine DNA. And I really cannot tell you if everyone all at once, or the first group, or maybe this was already the second group, who knows? But divine DNA has been fully reactivated in, I'm going to say it the way I saw it, in a group of humans on this planet. But that, please know, it doesn't mean that it was not everyone. And also, I would assume it will be everyone if it was not everyone. Now, the night of July 11 to 12, the Elohim, as you know, the creator beings that of course originate in the prime creator, Elohim, the builders of form, reactivated divine DNA, and I'm going to say within us. And at the same time, they completely disabled the dysfunctional, just the basic ancestral DNA. Instead of being centered in the ancestral DNA of who we are with our unconsciousness and the illusion that runs through it, we now have fully restored, healed in a way, divine DNA. And this, might come to you as a surprise. It came to me as a surprise. The Elohim are dragons. And so this DNA, actually, the Elohim DNA, are dragon DNA. Now, I don't like telling fairy tales, even though some things really sound like fairy tales. I want to be very factual about this. Some things simply will be shocking to us, and some things will make sense. Some things will take time to adjust to. Some things will really have to, open our minds a little bit, even stretch our minds. So, this is the year of the dragon. Dragons, of course, have been part of our creation longer than humanity, and they are cosmic energies. Now, I'm not a person who works with dragons in any way, but now that this has been revealed, it is good to know. Who are the Elohim? Who are they? Patricia calls them the builders of form, the builders of worlds. If you follow Patricia Cota-Robles, you surely noticed that since 2021, it is the Elohim who are changing our planetary grid to make the planetary grid wake up to its rainbow state of magnetism so that we all can wake up within that grid and actually start seeing the true divine reality instead of the illusion. Basically, switching program from the old false matrix into the new earth, organic, natural, cosmic reality, which actually is sustained by divine light and divine love, and is filled with that rainbow light of the Creator. Now, every single tradition around this world has spoken about dragons. I didn't know until July 11th, and actually the night of it, that the Elohim actually are the dragons, the cosmic dragons. I know nothing about dragons except for what I saw and what clearly was communicated by the Elohim. So they actually activated our Elohim DNA, the original DNA, the one that is the original blueprint for our consciousness as divine daughters and divine sons with unbelievable capabilities to now project from within this new code. I asked them, I said, after I experienced all of this, I said, so what do we do now? And they said, well, just look at it. This new DNA that used to be our original DNA when we were immortal beings. Immortal, as you know, doesn't mean that the body lives forever. The body is simply a form of transcendence. There is no such thing as aging and disease. But that's not, again, just so that we all look beautiful, because that's not how it works. The form has to be perfectly functional for the consciousness to be expressed through the form. Isabel, that's amazing. You knew. And so I wanted to see the new DNA that they activated within us and how they deleted the old DNA. So the new DNA, I would say, is not at all what we knew as, the double helix. It is bigger than our physical body. This is the closest I could find. It truly is a web and actually a structure of crystals. It's tiny little crystals. The way that I would describe it when I saw it is that every single one of us now is surrounded by a very large multidimensional field of real crystalline forms, little crystals that not only shimmer that beautiful white golden light, but also you will see the opal light. The DNA is not attached to the form itself, actually. It is so much more around and within. And now this is what will be projecting the new reality into being. So I asked them, is anything that we need to do? And they only said, simply listen within to your own DNA and call it dragon DNA if you feel like it. They actually called it dragon DNA. And quite a lot of things will have to change because everything's a mirror. And until now, we were projecting the old dysfunctional illusional DNA. We were projecting that onto reality. Our old DNA also, of course, the DNA is also an antenna. And so it's a receiver. So our receivers were receiving the nonsensical thoughts, and they were not coming from divine reality. Yeah, yeah. So, again, I just wanted to make it very practical without some kind of like, oh, it's the dragons. No, very practical. You can, do some studies and look at how ancient civilizations, all of them knew that the creators, and I think in the Bible originally, instead of God, it said Elohim as well, right? They knew all of this. Now, I want to explain it a little bit from the perspective of evolution. So I knew for sure that Our original source, the primordial source, had energies emanating from it. You can see it also in Egypt, with the what is it called? Hieroglyphs, right? So they would often have the sun disk, and from a sun disk, you would see many serpents coming out of the sun disk. Well, what is a serpent that flies? A serpent that flies is what we call a dragon. Now, are they really beings? Yes, they truly are beings. Yeah, in the Old Testament, thank you, El. We have to really go back to, we might not even find, of course, the knowledge here. Now the knowledge lives within you. So it was in 2006. So just so that you know, like we can depict the dragons in different ways, but the it's not about what they look like, it's what they actually are. So really they emanate from the central solar disk. As you know, central sun always represents the creator, the primordial creator. Suns have very, very, beyond important role within creation. Each sun represents the primordial source of creation. Each sun is a being, it's consciousness that then creates a world because the sun becomes the central sun. And some systems of the world even have dual suns. So they don't have to be all just one central sun. And so these dragon beings emanate from a sun, from the solar disk. We could say these days when we work with the grand central sun that that is the original emanation of the Elohim. The Elohim then move through really the fabric of cosmic reality, and they are the creators of form and worlds and beings. In the Hopi tradition, and we will speak a little bit about the Hopi tradition, the Hopi, today we call them Hopi. Today we say they are the native people of Arizona, but that's not exactly at all who they are. They are also what we would call original beings of creation who came from the stars, and they happen to remember a lot of different worlds that happened here on planet Earth. And they too say that this Earth is a creation of dragons. Just to say, all traditions, ancient traditions around the world, will have a creation story about a dragon or a rainbow serpent, because of course it's the light of the creator, is rainbow light. And these serpents are always associated with some elements. Could be the element of water, could be the element of fire, could be even the element of earth, element of air. And so we have to really stretch our imagination. In 2006, I was living in Berlin and I was doing a lot of meditation all the time, as much as I could fit into my day. And one day I heard a friend of mine speak about Ascension, and I never ever heard of Ascension before. It was my first time, and he mentioned it in German and he called it Aufstieg, and this was in 2006. And so I went back home and I said, I don't want to just get knowledge from a person. I want to really know, what is this all about? What is he talking about? Ascension. Is this really some kind of thing that's going to happen here on planet Earth? And so in 2006, I was meditating and I went into deep meditation. And suddenly my Hopi guides that I was just showing the picture of, my Hopi guides came. And I have many different Hopi guides. We would call them Hopi, but again, they are star beings. And some of them are in what we would call female bodies. Some of them are in male bodies. Some of them are in bodies that we cannot identify as male or female. But this time it was the male Hopi guides. And they said, if you want to know about Ascension, we will have to take you away from this reality you are in because you are not in divine reality. You cannot see the true cosmos. And so the earth has, as you know, portals that open within the earth as a natural result of the flow of energy. They are not something that a human being opens. They simply are an expression of the earth. Just like when a flower opens in the field, the flower opened as a natural expression of energy. And so the earth too opens her flowers that we would call portals that allow us to then go through them, and you end up in different realities. But these guides took me to the portal that led to the divine reality. Now, it was almost like stepping outside of one reality that we call here, the planetary Earth reality that we are in. And suddenly I was able to see cosmos in a way that even our technology could never see it, because all our technologies are still within the third dimensional cosmos, so they cannot see the true nature of cosmic reality. That's why they don't see the many suns. That's why they, don't see any life, none of it, because it's a different dimension that we would have to enter to be able to see it. So even all our science cannot describe this divine reality, because we are never having access to it unless we go through these portals. So suddenly I was beyond the portal, and they call this a stargate. So I was behind the stargate, and I could look back and I see, what the old earth is. But now I was able to see into this new, completely different divine reality, which also is cosmic in nature. And I was able to see that we actually are not a planet in the solar system with those few planets that we know, but that we are so much more connected to a much bigger world with many, many, many more planets and many, many more suns. And as I'm looking at it, next thing I see, and I said, so what is ascension? Describe to me ascension. And I see that this cosmic reality has some kind of rainbow serpent moving through it. And because it's, flying, I assume, it's a serpent that flies through this reality, and this divine reality. And so they said, watch, this is ascension. Now, the rainbow serpent moved through every planet, every sun within this bigger world. And they all now were inside of the body of the rainbow serpent. Imagine it, visualize it. A serpent moves through all worlds. And now all worlds, all the planets, all the suns are interconnected by this creator being into its body. Every world is in the body of the serpent now. And now the serpent does something which is what ascension is. The serpent lifts all worlds all at once to a higher dimension, all at once. But some worlds already are in a higher dimension, some worlds are in the lower dimensions, but all worlds all at once go through the shift of the ages, including the earth. Now, what did it do? Not only all worlds are instantaneously moved into higher state of being and existence, the serpent itself now is transformed. Now the serpent, through this shift of the ages, ascension, evolution, really evolution, this is evolution, of the worlds. Something we have not been able to participate in when, for example, Atlantis fell, because we were just not able to make it. Now, when this happens, the serpent is also evolved. This serpent is also evolved, because all within creation has to always go through evolution to the next, to the next, to the next, to more, to more, to more, to more. Nothing is supposed to be stagnant, let alone left behind, let alone not ready to move on, let alone being burdened so badly that you could not move it. So the serpent itself, the Elohim, the builder of form, responsible for all these many worlds, all these many suns, turns into a cosmic dragon. It's an upgrade for the serpent itself. And so this is what we are going through. And this is why the Elohim have just completely, and I don't mean, this is not a DNA upgrade. This is new, ancient, cosmic DNA within us. Now, for some of you, surely you might say, this is too much for me, right? Because maybe it is too much. Because we are coming from a world that really didn't see the true nature of reality. The true nature of reality is so different from what we have lived. And it truly is that these children of God who had all it takes to constantly be free and to create, to have fun, to enjoy, to be completely connected to this divine reality with the zillions of other beings within this divine reality, all knowing. Suddenly they became not knowing, but they thought they knew. You see? So we thought we knew, but really, we knew nothing about the true nature of divine reality, unless, of course, we meditated for 100 reincarnations and maybe got a little glimpse of it. So we really didn't know the true nature of reality, and it is bigger than we can possibly even imagine. But now, our DNA until now was projecting dysfunctional reality onto the screen of this world. I was projecting all the dysfunction, the judgments, the hate, even, the ability to kill another, the ability to actually participate in things like hating and war and all of it. And even internally, just having negative thought, right? Or even having thought all the time. That was part of the dysfunctional DNA. The disease, the twisted relationship with birth and death. That was very twisted. All of it has been twisted, but not now. Now, this new DNA that really is beyond, everybody will be able to see it, of course, because we are coming into this true nature of who we are. And that means we do not have a relationship with this reality anymore. If we want to have a relationship with this reality, that means we have to say something about it. We have to say, oh, I like it. Or we have to say, oh, I don't like it. That's building a relationship with this reality. But now we actually will only have relationship with divine reality. That means something completely different. Now, everything truly is within and around. And this new shimmering, geometrical, also musical, crystal-like structure that is within and around is what's projecting this new DNA onto the canvas of this reality. And that's how all that is of the old world will have to die. And I mean gone. This is now how the new earth that already exists as the true divine dimension of this earth will actually be projected. It already is, but this is the biggest transformation of humanity. And I mean, this has never happened. This was the original, of course, code for humanity. And that's why the original creation was all about the rainbow light moving, and we move with it, and we are fully sustained, and we don't have this biological, dysfunction within us that says you need to eat, you need to survive, you need to protect yourself, you have to have fear. That all was already this dysfunctional world. So this is the original, but also futuristic design for us, because evolution doesn't go back. Evolution has to move forward. Now, the question that I always had is that if these beings that I've been seeing all my life, if they're so incredibly powerful, I always said, why don't you just take the whole earth? Why don't you just take it, the entire humanity? The earth is just a tiny little small speck of dust when you look at it from cosmic perspective. And I always ask them, why don't we just take the whole earth and just put it up into a higher realm. And they said, all within cosmic nature follows the principles of nature. When you have a seed that is not ready to sprout, you cannot put it in the highest conditions of solar light, where the seed could never, ever, ever even sprout because the intensity would simply be too high. And the seed, which is the earth and humanity, simply could not handle such a huge evolutionary leap without being in any way ready for it. It would be truly like taking, the solar worlds as so intense. And so if you took the little seed that, hopefully one day will sprout, hopefully one day will turn into a little plant, and hopefully one day can be replanted when it is ready. You have to think of everything like a garden. What would you do as a gardener? And what would be useful? And what would work? And what wouldn't work? That's exactly how cosmos is too. It behaves like nature. And here we have, we have a little glimpse of cosmic nature here. So simply, conditions have to be right. Conditions have to be right. When the conditions are not right, we cannot simply replant a world. But the conditions now are right. And the conditions are going to be even more right. And so when we take a planet that was actually not evolving, but it was constantly a closed system, it was like a very stubborn seed that no matter what you do, it's not going to sprout. But now we are sprouting and blossoming. And so the replanting will be successful. This is why we cannot violate the laws of nature. Yeah. And so when you plant in your garden, surely you notice it's always the right time for the right thing to do. And some plants are stronger, some are weaker, and that's how it is within creation too. So this alone is huge. Now we do have the habit within us of the old DNA, of course, right? We have a habit. It's just a habit. It no longer has anything backing it up. So if we now still think, in limited ways, like a human person, without realizing that we are divine human beings, just want to make the difference, the person is what the illusion is. The divine human being knows itself as immortal, fearless, confident, capable, unlimited being with incredible heritage. And the heritage is within your cosmic DNA that I will keep calling what they said to call it dragon DNA. If you don't like the word dragon, call it Elohim DNA. So now is the time to step outside of the illusion. And one way to do it is repeat to yourself, dragon DNA. All potential is within me. And now all I need to do is just simply listen what this DNA is capable of and then project it. But it's a very natural thing without too much effort now. It just is simply that way. But test these unlimited possibilities within yourself, but really think big, because we've also been taught to think little. And so when people talked about manifestation, all they could think about usually is money or all the things that money can buy. But now it's beyond all this limitation. Now, I'm talking a lot here, but there is a lot to be said because this is the most important moment in human history in the most positive way. We also had very important moments, but in the most negative way in the history of humanity. So I want to go to the next thing that happened the day after. This is even bigger. but it's so cosmic, and you will understand what it all means. We live within cosmos. Within cosmos are many universes. Within many universes are many galaxies. Within many galaxies are many worlds. And whenever a world is ready to host consciousness of beings, then beings go and start experiencing themselves in that world. We take on forms that suit us, meaning for the purpose of experiencing consciousness, really, and our capabilities as creators. We take on different forms and we just simply have no attachment to the form. And whenever we want to transcend, we don't go through a process of death, but we go through a process of shifting into a new form. There is always, the shifting is almost like letting go of the old skin of a serpent and stepping into your new skin. So it's just different. Now, because we live in a cosmos, cosmos has laws. And in a way, you could describe the laws as higher dimensional laws that to us at this level are known, very basically as the laws of physics and different laws of alchemy. That means energetic laws. And of course, our physics cannot ever describe these energetic cosmic laws, but just to compare it. That means in this world, if I have an apple in my hand and I drop it, it will fall. It's just how it works here. So in cosmos, we have similar laws that function that way. Now, what happened within this cosmic cycle is that when source emanated from itself, and I have a diagram that was given to me by the creator of all that is, when source, being the central point of consciousness before manifestation, before creation, because there's always, before creation. So creator and creation in this world that we live in, cosmos, really it is one consciousness. But this one consciousness had to create of itself something that is not separate from itself, but it's part of it. It's an emanation. And so from source, the great heavenly spirit, or whatever name we want to call it, the great spirit, source, primordial source, we have the emanation of forces for the purpose of creation. You can think of creation as a huge cosmic field that has laws and it has magnetic attraction of what we today call divine feminine and divine masculine. You can call it also the positive energy and the negative, but negative as the pole of magnetism. Negative pole, positive pole. And so we started to call this the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Wonderful. So we can call it divine father, we can call it divine mother. And I've shown this before. This is all from this year. This all is happening this year. So far in this ascension process, if I should pick which year is the most important, it's this year. Nothing to do with the year itself, but who knows? The year of a dragon, maybe it's all by design. So you have the emanation from the great light, Ishvara. From the great light emanates Maha Prakriti, the great cosmic nature, the great one. And then through the laws of physics and within cosmos, I would call it almost a little mistake, a glitch within creation. Because it's like being an alchemist and you put together water and lead and you go like, oops, now the water is toxic. Didn't mean to do that, but here we are, toxic water with lead in it. So the same thing happens within cosmos because really it's one big chemistry. It's huge alchemy of forces. And so from Mahaprakriti, which is not some kind of Hindu word, it actually is a cosmic word. These words sound in cosmos. Maha is a cosmic word. You will hear it in cosmos. Prakriti is a cosmic word. Mahaprakriti as one great cosmic nature suddenly created two energetic flows, two forces of energy, and it's split into pure nature, para, prakriti, but it also created a very interesting, and I think this is the glitch in this cosmic cycle. It created force that actually created that impure nature, apara prakriti. Now, this is hugely important if you want to know the origin of what we call in this world evil, or the origin of what we call in our religions, some of them Satan. It created a force that I can best describe as one frequency that originated in all that is. It originated in the light. It did. But simply as it came into its own expression, even though it was originally one with all, it went astray. Simply a little glitch. And it started to move farther and farther and farther and farther away from the origin, which would be the love, the light, the goodness, the bliss, the joy. And imagine if it was like a child, just imagine it, that would walk so far away from home, but it would still, of course, originate in home, that eventually it would start feeling so disconnected from home that when it looked back at home, it now didn't identify with it, didn't want to have anything to do with it, wanted to be on its own, doing its own thing, didn't want to be part of the oneness, didn't at all feel one with, but now was so far removed from the love and light that when it looked back, it now wanted to harm the oneness, wanted to harm the rest. And this is what then we ended up calling Satan, or, I don't want to give it names like this, but that's just so that you know what we're talking about here. The one who became the antagonistic adversary, yes, originated in the oneness of all life. This became the glitch within creation that really there was nothing to do about it. It simply was. And it actually was what originated, and then what we know as evil. Why is this important? Was evil really the outcome of human unconsciousness? No, it actually was a cosmic occurrence. It originated in cosmos itself. But then this force, of course, like all forces, then create beings. All these forces become then consciousness manifested. And so if we talk about the Elohim being the beings of light that emanated from source, then this too became a serpent, of course, but the serpent of darkness. And the serpent of darkness didn't like the rest of life, didn't want to be part of oneness, didn't want to honor the origin. And so it has been like that within this very, very, very long cosmic cycle. Now, this is where it gets really miraculous. Yogananda said, there's nothing you can do about it, really. Just don't go with the serpent of darkness. Just don't be tempted by it, right? Don't live that way. Don't be the one who disconnected from the underlying oneness. So yeah, God, when you look at what God really is as the origin of all things, would God allow it, right? That's the question that people always ask. It's a huge question. And this force, as it originated in Source itself, is part of Source itself. So for God, what we call God, you cannot go and kill a force that originated in you, since you are whole anyway. And the true reality of all things is wholeness and the underlying oneness of all life. Exactly. So now if the good side wanted to kill the bad side, we would end up in this war of good and evil, but both would be fighting. So again, we would have a problem, right? And that's very much what happened. We want to go to the underlying oneness of all life. Well, as it is in cosmos, things change all the time. This is the beauty of evolution. And you and me are now the beings on this planet, and of course, evil didn't only exist on Earth, since it is a cosmic phenomenon. We are witnessing something that has never been witnessed in this cosmic cycle. We are actually witnessing something so unbelievable, which actually happened on the 13th of July, just so that you know. I like to put dates on it so that we know how this unfolds. You see, the origin of this force was the Mahaprakriti, the great nature, the great nature. On the 13th of July, pure nature and the adversary got integrated back into Mahaprakriti. I know you know what this means. Mahaprakriti now does not have two opposing forces within herself. There is an integration of these two forces that took place the day after the Elohim restored our DNA. And I don't know, maybe there were other worlds where they have distorted DNA, and maybe it happened in those worlds too, because this is not just a planetary thing. But the thing is, imagine, yes, this is the end of distorted duality, and yet allowing for natural polarity. This is the biggest miracle within this cosmos, in this cosmic cycle, and that's the only cosmic cycle I can speak about, because I have no memory of any other cosmic cycle. But I remember this cosmic cycle all the way to the beginning, to this, what we can call Big Bang, without really being Big Bang, but it's an explosion of consciousness from one central consciousness. So this is the biggest cosmic news that will affect all of life in all worlds all at once, because there's only one cosmic body within which we have many universes. It's good to know, like the vastness of all of it, of course. That means a glitch that maybe has been around for whatever number, I can't even pronounce the number that Gurga put in the chat, but if that's the one cosmic cycle, then this glitch has existed from the beginning of this cosmic cycle. The moment Mahaprakriti split into two through the laws of physics, evil existed. 314 trillion solar years. Thank you, Gurga. And who knows what solar year is, right? Thank you for helping me here. So this basically was just a little glitch, a little mistake, It's like the story of Sophia when she accidentally creates, the archons. That is really how the Gnostics try to tell this story. Is it the solar year of the grand central sun? Is it the solar year of the great, great central sun? But I want everyone to know that this is the biggest moment in this cosmic history that will affect not only life on here, life everywhere. This will affect what we call afterlife, even though that doesn't exist. There is no such thing as afterlife, because everything is life. But this was the little life, which was the illusion where we have been asleep. We still are pretty much asleep, you know, even though we are waking up, but this is not our true awakening just yet. The awakening is when all illusion here ends, because now it ended really within cosmos. Imagine. So if you can often remember to say Maha Prakriti. When this happened on July 13th, you know, and when I received this in the middle of the night, the beings kept saying, keep repeating it, Maha Prakriti, Maha Prakriti, Maha Prakriti. Just remembering the great nature is now the nature, and she is beyond duality now. You know, when you look at even the great teachings of the wonderful Yogananda, you know, he was still here when this was not even close to happening. And he was saying, oh, you know, you guys have to transcend duality, transcend illusion, transcend the Maya. Now this is very different. Now it's different. Every single world now will receive the really effect and implication of all of this, which is just huge, because now it's not duality of pure and impure. That's even now beyond the Tao Te Ching, right? Because now we are going back to the original intent, which was pure balance. Balance. Polarity without duality, if that makes sense. Polarity without duality. What the distorted duality did, it was constantly this tug of war. It was the good and evil. But the good and evil ended in cosmic terms on our July 13th. So now it's just Mahaprakriti. So how will this play out on planet Earth? Well, you know, this year, this dissonant frequency is truly ending. And so all will become harmony, harmony of our true divine being, harmony, which is musical, of cosmos. It's almost like the one instrument that was constantly off tune is now back in the orchestra playing along. So the orchestra in cosmos now is all one. One of the most important things in this ascension process, of course, was constantly remembering the underlying oneness of all life. And so this underlying oneness of all life is now, again, our DNA blueprint. And so you will feel very big changes. I would assume we will see very big changes. I know that we were going to do meditation and we will do the meditation, but I just wanted to get all this out because I've never, ever, ever, I never even knew this was going to happen. Mahaprakriti, thank you, John. Mahaprakriti, the great cosmic mother, is once again unified as one force within creation. You know, it was truly just a glitch. And, you know, if you know physics, if you know chemistry, if you know alchemy, you know, sometimes you think, oh, this is how it's going to work, but the outcome is not all that great. It's partially great, but then partially also not great. So this just happened. How will this play out? Let's look at it this way. What do we see in this world that is real? Mariana, great question. The solar flash. What do we see in this world that is real? Is it our bodies? Is it anything about our lives that we live here, the birth, the death, and all the in between? Is it any systems in this world? Are any systems created in divine consciousness? The only thing that is real in this world is very little, is an expression of nature, but a very toxic expression of nature also, because even what we call nature in this world was also tempered with by these forces of darkness. And forces of darkness is just one way to name them. But cosmic energy, love as a magnetic quality, our new DNA, life force within nature, life force in us, within us, that is true to the divine reality. But not one single system that we have in this world was created from that new divine consciousness, but also our cosmic original consciousness. Our bodies do not function, but will function at the level of divine consciousness. The body never was bad, but the body was also tempered with, in unbelievable ways, of course, since genetic modification. And I mentioned this before, but you know, the origin of violence in this world, for example, and what we call the distorted masculine energy, which was, you know, able to kill more than the feminine energy, was also a genetic modification. So, you know, this genetic modification has ended. And this is the liberation. So all that was created out of the dysfunctional unconsciousness, DNA, through the forces that were not of the light, all that has to not just dissolve, but I want to call it die. This is how suffering ends. This is how we now are in divine consciousness, remembering that you are the princess and that you are the prince of the highest within this universe. We are in a universe, and as universal being, universe is a smaller body within cosmos. We too have what we would call the creator of a universe, because every universe has a creator being or creator beings at its core. So in this universe, which is relevant to us because other universes have different conditions, but this universe, we are the children of the central sun of this universe. And so we just have to now operate from this new level of DNA, the new level of consciousness. And so again, start referring to yourself as the child of the Elohim, as the child of the creator gods, as a child with divine DNA, Elohim DNA, and how fun, dragon DNA, again, will uncover all these mysteries. So now I would see some big changes happening to how children are born. Will they still be birthed the old way? Will our sexuality also be transformed through this new DNA? This new DNA is also new consciousness, you know. And again, you know, when these beings are doing these things like intervention, they don't want to shock us. They don't want to take that little sprout and put it into the desert. They want to make sure that it's a gradual process, just like it is in nature, except for the solar flash. Wow, Gurga, now that you put that in the chat, you'll have to email me, please. I want to know. I'm always learning from Gurga from these ancient texts. Thank you. And so everything will have to change. But there is that one thing, right? The earth herself, you know, all her elements got poisoned. Toxic air, toxic soil, toxic waters, you know, diminished everything. That too will have to be the old skin that peels away. And instead, everything will be about restoration, restoration, restoration. But coming all from this new DNA. So how do we function now day to day, right? I asked too when these beings came, the Elohim, and they said, in a way, we have been completely restored, healed. I wanted to actually share something that was really personal for me, but interesting. So I experienced this from midnight on July 11th until 4 in the morning Pacific time on July 12th. And so it was huge for me, huge. I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot sleep anymore. I'm not going to try to sleep. And my daughter texted me in the morning, and my daughter's 24. And we text every morning to say good morning to each other. And she texted me and she said, hey, mommy, I had a really weird dream. I dreamt that I was snuggled with a dragon who was purple and white, and I was like next to the belly of this dragon. And this dragon was almost like a big cat all around her. That's the way she described it. And then she said, suddenly, this dragon sent a burst of energy in me, and I knew I was healed. Now, I say this is the strangest thing, of course. Plus, she's not sick and she doesn't have, anything to be healed. But her experience was, and I was healed. And to me, this was just, like a cherry on top of this amazing experience. It's like, whoa. So any of you, if you can remember, did you dream about dragons, And so we have been healed. And with that, I guess, so how do we operate in this new system and the solar flash? So I'm recording all of this. Again, I felt this is more important than doing right now the meditation with Oren, because this is beyond, right? This is beyond. This is the new world. The switch has been flipped within us, and it is now within us. So I was told that now to meditate will be also very different. It will be like just going into a silent mode and sitting with your own beingness, which now is new. This is the new. Wow, thank you for sharing that, the private message here in the chat. So now it's also the meditation now can be very different. Now this is a whole new operating system, Basically, let's put it this way. When Mu fell, this system fell too. And what we ended up with was the completely dysfunctional, distorted human DNA that allowed for incredible dysfunction on every level of our being, specifically mentally, and then all the other layers of it. So now we have, again, this new operating system that we haven't had since then. That's a very long time in human terms, millions of years. So now this is a new way of being, So the old things might not be at all necessary, by the way. Now you have to just do one thing. Just listen. And this is not even, I wouldn't even call it meditation anymore. I would actually call it just what they told me. Just sit down, breathe, get comfortable, relax, just let go of the old self and just listen. What is this new DNA telling you? What does it have? And we cannot hear it if we are talking in our head, right? Because there is a sound within this DNA. There is information, there is knowledge, there is knowing. But now, how do we get to it? We don't have to dig deep. It's just like, okay, I'm relaxing and listening. And it will express itself to you. Yeah. Focus on no thing. Just be. This is how it used to be. Yes. Be still and know. So what I've noticed since this change happened a few days ago, if I have a thought that I would call habitual human thought, the personality thought, instantaneously I hear in my being a sound. And the sound is louder than the thought, and it deletes the thought. And the sound you are very familiar with, the sound is I am. I hear it now all the time, so I'm assuming this is the sound of the DNA, the new divine DNA, I am. And in that moment, the other thought just dissolves. We are truly new. We have been born again. This is the true meaning of being born again, because if you are born again, you have different DNA. This is the new you. This is new you, because no longer is there even one speck, one molecule of the old DNA. Now it's the, yeah, this is the breaking news from the cosmos. And so even the meditation now, we can still listen to Orin, right? We can still do that. Why not? But the true power now is where it always was meant to be, in the listening within, this code that is within us and around us. And I got to see the details of it. I got to see my own DNA, and it goes way beyond the body. We are now fields of divine Elohim DNA. And I have a little joke that I now tell my husband throughout the day, and surely it is annoying, but it's a good one. Anytime you hear anyone speak about this reality as is and describing it and building this relationship with it, I like it, I don't like it, this is nice, this is not nice, you know, then your response can be dragon DNA. To all things now, we can respond dragon DNA. And what does it mean? It's a code word. Remember who you are. Remember who you are. That's what it is. And you might catch yourself still trying to have a relationship with this illusion. And then you can respond to yourself, hang on a second, dragon DNA, how cool is this? Yes, dragon DNA is within us now. Again, the builders of form. You know, Patricia has been speaking about the Elohim specifically a lot since 2021, when in August 2021, it was the Elohim who put the new crystals that contain information about the new Earth, about the original blueprint within this planetary grid. And they are now going to do so much work on this planetary grid so that we can have a new experience of reality. The divine reality has to do everything with the planetary grid. The beings, when they came, the Elohim, they also told me, for those of you who have the 33 codes, they explained to me that the picture on the cover of the 33 codes is really, you know, obviously, we have known this all along, but it was like another aha moment. It's a rainbow dragon, right? It's the Elohim. So that's the energy that has been working through this world to restore the planetary grid. How long will this take, right? Well, I know for sure. And also for those of you who will be at the World Congress on Illumination, you know, I know that we will be working quite a bit with the planetary grid, as all 500 of us there. And of course, those of you online, please do participate online if you're not in person, because it's going to be the most important event, really, for all of us to actually create this incredible transformation. Yes, so for those of you who will be in person, we will be there in person. And so the question was also, which I wanted to address, about the solar flash. What is the solar flash? So I've experienced the solar flash several times, and so my knowledge comes from the experience of it. A lot of people say a lot of things about it that I don't think are accurate, but many people also do absolutely accurately know, because they also have experienced it before. The ones that I know who speak accurately about it, they all have experienced it. That means that time and space reality has strange laws, and we can experience things that happened as if in the future, but they already happened and now it's the past. So it's a big multidimensional thing. But I want to explain what happens with the solar flash. we do have central suns, right? We have our own central sun. We have a central sun at the center of the galaxy. We have a central sun at the center of the universe. We have a central sun at the center of every universe. And we have a central sun at the center of cosmos. So we have central suns. And of course, many central suns that are at the center of many different systems of the world. Our sun is part of this cosmic network. Cosmic network is about resonance. So that means all suns are connected because they all are what you would say creator gods. All suns are responsible for systems, small systems, big systems, huge systems, absolutely ginormous systems. So depending on the luminosity and capability of the sun, they get the responsibility to be in charge of a system. We will, as we move forward, Karen, that's a beautiful, beautiful picture. Thank you. That's absolutely beautiful. So, you know, as we move forward, we will discover that a lot of our ancient people knew the appropriate relationship with the sun is honor, gratitude, love, not so much worship, because worship puts us in a different relationship with everything, because we put it on a different kind of level as if disconnected from us. But love is the way to connect with these forces of nature. And so you could say that we will once again adore all suns that are part of our world that connect to our consciousness, and that our consciousness is actually sustained by the solar light of these many suns. The solar light determines really our consciousness, our experience, our luminosity, whether we are in the golden age or not, whether we are awake or not. And just like you see in this world, very small example, if we lived in tune with natural rhythms, we all would sleep when the sun is not shining upon us during the day, and we would synchronize to be in sync with nature, meaning we are asleep when the sun is not shining, we are awake when the sun is shining. It has to do with our consciousness. So it is also in terms of consciousness. So our sun is connected through this network with those other suns. And the closest sun that we have to us is the sun at the center of a galaxy, which is the bigger system that we are part of. Now, our galactic core already has emanated its own solar wave of plasma. This wave has been moving through our galaxy. It's even measurable in scientific terms. It's changing all the worlds within this galaxy because it's light. And light of the sun is always consciousness. It is always the illumination of the worlds that changes the worlds. So there is an illumination that comes from the center of this galaxy that's moving through the galaxy. And it is going to impact positively all worlds within this galaxy. This is not distraction, and yet it could look, right, on the outside, I don't know, if all the systems are artificial, if all the systems are not based in consciousness, then I don't know why they should be preserved. It would be ideal if all the systems that were based in that force of really darkness, if they all could be dissolved by the light of God that is coming this way. So letting go is a great idea. When this light arrives, it will impact our physical sun. And you can imagine what happens when a sun wobbles. it also will then emanate massive amount of solar plasma. And we are a planet that is absolutely directly connected to solar emanation. And when this plasma arrives here on this planet, it will be the final switch from the old to the new. I always see it as an instantaneous thing, as a split second of bliss. Every single time I've experienced this, it is bliss, instantaneous bliss that teleports you instantaneously to that natural world of the new earth. That's just my experience. It's instantaneous and blissful, so nothing to fear. Nothing to fear is really important because it's very blissful. This time, it's not about destroying and dissolving a world, but it's actually just letting go of the old skin and allowing this world to rise. That's so different from the end of Atlantis. End of Atlantis was unfortunately about having to dissolve almost all of it so that it can just restart, and let's see if this time they make it. But actually this time it is already made. When I experience this myself several times, I always see it. And I always see it as if the sun exploded, which is unimaginable for us. It truly looks like the sun exploded and filled what we call the sky with only unbelievably intense light that, of course, our physiology, it cannot be even described. The experience of us is instantaneous, complete awakening into the new, with nothing left behind, nothing to hold on to, no fear, no trauma. And that's the whole purpose of this transformation, to actually be blissful. So, with that said, I know I've been on the call for 90 minutes. I actually don't want to do Oren right now. And I would have to like twist my will to do it. And I don't want to do it because then, it would come across. Because after these experiences that just happened, I believe right now it's good to listen within your own DNA. What is it actually asking us to really be? This is about, we already are it. Now this is it, we already are it. There is nothing to heal anymore, even though it still might seem like it, but don't believe it. It's only the illusion speaking as a habit. Now it's more just sitting and be a little blissful and see what happens. It's also the end of the dysfunction that we had to deal with for millions of years. Millions. I truly believe that now every single one of us has been empowered beyond anything we have ever even I've never even I really didn't know this was going to happen. I do believe political systems have to fall apart. I do believe educational systems, monetary systems, the way we work, the way we eat, the way we shop, the way we live. I do believe, and please correct me, that there is no system in this world that is based in this original divine design, and that even nature adopted the dysfunction of the separation. And so animals started to be poisonous and animals started to eat each other. And that was the result of this. The reason why animals even ate each other was the separation within Mahaprakriti into pure and the adversary. There was a time on this planet when even animals didn't eat each other, let alone humans killing each other or even eating dead animals. So big changes are upon us since we've now unified into just one thing. And the one thing, please remember, is Mahaprakriti, based in what's really important. These are the words of our source, underlying oneness of all life. You can delete the bottom level of this creation diagram. We will be shifting more and more and more to divine origin, which now is within us. You know, when I started to feel this preparation within me for what was going to happen, but I didn't know what was going to happen, I could tell it's shifting our consciousness into a new way of gaining energy, new way. And don't force anything upon yourself. Don't force anything upon yourself. Allow it to be an expression of your new nature. And know that all of old nature within you, within animals, within the trees, even though I do think that the trees are probably the most advanced beings on this planet, but there are still glimpses within nature of the original design. The waters, the trees, the plants, the animals are already part of the distortion, the way that they have to, eat too, and even kill each other. That already is the fallen design. Gurge, is there a time when Yogananda spoke about when animals didn't eat each other, and when we didn't have poisonous animals, when we didn't have certain types of insect, when we couldn't get bitten by a spider or a snake and be poisoned? That was the time of this original DNA. So now let's listen. How about we take a moment to listen within together, because there's real power within that. And the listening has to be in silence. This new DNA doesn't need anything. It doesn't need any more anything from the outside. Isn't that amazing? Like I'm trying to, this is the first time I'm really talking about it for an extended period, because I'm just so blown away by this, the gravity of this, the gravity of all of this. It means now all it takes is simply sitting, closing your eyes, feeling wonderful. And as you feel wonderful, allow something to be revealed to you without even asking. Just let it be so. It's like now it's the time for relax, let go, trust, and surrender, and just get really comfortable with yourself. Because now the self is the new. And so let us take 3 minutes, okay, of complete silence, because also our senses, right? All our senses, all 5 of them will change. There's so much to be said about this. Yes, I'm going to send it actually. I'm going to put it on YouTube. I cannot do it today because I'm traveling, so I don't have my computer where I can do it, but I'll do it when I get home. So, yes, never before, and yet this was our original design, So the Elohim are behind this. The Elohim came to planet Earth. I don't know how much more time you guys have, but there's a little bit more to be said. I know for some of you it's too long and it's getting late for some of you too, but I just want to say something about the Elohim. The first time I met the Elohim was at the end of Atlantis. And at the end of Atlantis, the Elohim, of course, they were trying to do what we came here to do, which is salvation of the earth so that the earth can shift. And so they came to the earth and they were trying to shift the conditions, but actually they didn't succeed. So they didn't succeed. How is it even possible? Because it was so dense here. When they got here, they too got poisoned by the conditions. They didn't have to be born the Elohim, right? They don't have to be born into this world, but they came into this world. And we knew them in one way in our traditions as the Watchers. And that's just one way to call them. But they were the Elohim. They came here, and if you know the story of the Watchers, it's kind of so silly, but it's funny and sad at the same time, but it's just how it was. They got a little bit too poisoned by the conditions on this planet. And so they became part of the dirt too. The cedars of life, absolutely. And so when they got poisoned, they knew they missed the opportunity to make the shift of the ages for this world. And so now they are back, and they have been back, and they are the ones who are really doing all the work behind the scene. And they are the ones that are making this possible, this big intervention. So I would say this is it. The senses that we have, the physical senses, will be liberated. They will be liberated. I actually think, like, this is just my guess from what I've seen. This is the year when evil ends in cosmos. And this year, to me, it has nothing to do with 2024, but it's the conditions, the year of the dragon, because this is the reunification of this frequency that was creating evil, really. And of course, every frequency creates beings because sound creates, and this frequency was simply completely discordant, and so it was creating discordant beings. So no more this. Now it's all about this. So the senses. The physical bodies that we have, of course, will have to change completely. There is nothing about this physical body that will function the same way. We will still have a form, and the form is very much similar to, the shape that we have, but without the biology that we have, without actually the dependence on sustenance through food, dependence on the systems. Now it's like, okay, if you are the princess and the prince of heaven, then just use who you are. Really, right? Just use who you are. And all is now up to you since you've been given your divine heritage back. Divine heritage is back. Yes. Everything will now change. This is the, like how it is always. When it happens, there's a little delay in the manifestation, but there's also the process of the old having to die. And so we'll rejoice when it does. And I don't know how it's going to look like, but again, I think all the systems have to go. So the physical body had those 5 senses, right? And they made us feel like this is so real, and they made us even feel pain. They made us feel like this physical body is really receiving this reality as real because we can touch it, we can see it, we can hear it, we can smell it, and it created problems. Some senses became very, very possessed, and a way of actually keeping us trapped and in the illusion. And so the new senses will have to be completely different, and they will be the original senses that are all senses based in freedom of experiencing cosmos. So huge changes. Okay, and now the 3 minutes of silence. Get yourself really comfortable. Now is the time to really relax. The new way will be deep relaxation, enjoying yourself from within, just delighting in who you are, not believing the mind if it still talks to you. Just tell it, I'm sorry. I'm in my new divine self. This is my new divine heritage. I am the princess of heaven. I am the prince of heaven. And so all is within me now. And so 3 minutes. And just breathe, nothing crazy. This is the new way. Just be. All right, I'll be with you. You be with me. Let's be together. How beautiful was the silence without the stress of having to do something certain way. Nothing, just be. One thing that will remain is our breath. So just becoming a living, breathing being. This is something Divine Mother talked to me for a long time and a long time ago, that we're going from the thinking personality self into becoming a living, breathing being. Being. I'm just being. Why should I do so much when I can just be? And then when something arises in you, then it arises, but that will be the new DNA, the dragon DNA, which will be regenerating, restoring, changing the body. Every cell, of course. Every cell now will be transformed. This is the cellular transformation of our physicality. And you know, since 2020, we have been prepared for this. Massive purification took place within the physical body for this to be possible. Again, you know, it's all about voltage, the appropriate voltage. So now that we are plugged in, we will not be burned, but ignited. This is ignition. Again, I don't know if it was for all of humanity right now, but it was definitely for a group on this planet. And I cannot tell you how many, and it doesn't even matter. I'm going to say you. And everything is always done with the appropriate condition, right? Appropriate conditions. And so appropriate conditions, you know, we worked with Oren a lot. We did accelerate our evolution, that one group. Maybe you were in the group. We increased our inner light. And this could just be the result of all that great work. And with that, you know, I really felt today was just about being and allowing. So this is what Taoism talked about. This is the original teachings on this planet. I highly encourage everyone to now explore energy within yourself. Maybe when you closed your eyes and you didn't do anything, you just were breathing, you were a living, breathing being. Maybe you felt some energy. 2000 was a great year. Many portals opened in the year 2000 and great beings came through that we today call our children. They have different DNA already. But of course, they came into a toxic world, and the toxic world wanted them to be poisoned as soon as they arrived. But now just feeling energy is a great idea. We've had many yogic techniques trying to restore us. But actually now it's about ease. The easy, the simple, the Tao Te Ching unveiled within us. The movement of life force without anything strenuous, without any stress, just being. If you feel like singing a song, sing a song. If you feel like moving, move. If you feel like swimming, swim. Just allow this new consciousness to work through you. I know that you are in good hands of your own DNA. This is the path of least resistance. This is the flow, finally. And you know, as mystics, right, we have done some crazy stuff. We had to meditate for so long. We had to do all these things just to unlock something inside of us. But man, that was a lot of effort. Now it's being, just being. Now all is possible. And so thank you so much. Thank you once again for being here again. You know, I don't want to even apologize for playing Oren because it was not appropriate, actually. It was not what the flow required. And so I'm going to go and be with nature, be in nature, and enjoy everything you do. We will do 5 p.m. again. We'll see what unfolds today. And maybe 5 p.m. will be for those who cannot participate now, but also maybe some new energy will come. Who knows? It's been really accelerated. And so I post the replay. So thank you so much. Many blessings, and just wow, wow, and wow. So thank you.